Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
So yeah, I'm gonna just click recording here. Yeah, thanks everybody for hopping in. I see we got Mr. Jeff Patry coming on the call here as well. So the purpose of the call here today, guys, and I was giving Julio a bit of a rundown on Agent School. So we focus predominantly on growing and scaling real estate businesses, from lead gen to sales to systems, to ultimately build a core business that works for us, and not the other way around. Okay. The what I really want to go into today is the importance of like leverage and systems within our business, because especially for you, Julio. It sounds like right now, like you have 300 leads coming in, which is a lot for one person to manage, right?
Mhm.
We start for a lot of our agents, we recommend like as soon as you kind of hit the 100 lead per month mark, like that's where your time between doing social media and managing clients and selling clients, you end up getting bottlenecked in terms of like getting the most from the leads that you are generating. And you're spending more and more money, but you're not getting as much return from the leads that you're getting, right? So how do we combat that, right? We start implementing different systems within our business, and leverage, right? I'm such a like I a little bit about me. I have an engineering background. I worked in civil engineering, doing a lot of land development, house development, stuff like that. So I'm such a systems oriented guy. And when I made the transition to real estate, I was solely focused on like, okay, how do we create systems around our business? So it essentially serves us, and we're not kind of caught in the trap of always working in it, right? So before we kind of dive into like the different types of systems, the different types of leverage, what is leverage essentially? And it's all leverage is getting more output, right, for the input that we're putting in. Okay. And with us, right, we have a lot of different resources that are at our disposal, but our time is our most valuable resource, and we have to protect it at all costs, right? But for us as realtors, as business owners, there's only so much time in the day, and like I mentioned, we're kind of wearing all the hats in our business, right? Like we're talking to leads, we're generating leads, we're doing social media, we're writing offers, we're doing listing presentations, we're driving around the city, we're pretty much all in one platform, right? So the question now becomes, okay, where do I need to focus my focus and my time, and what can I essentially create a system or create leverage around, right? So I can focus my time on the income producing activities, right? And for us, those are sales activities like prospecting, like creating content, and getting deals across the line. Those are the three most important activities that we can do as real estate agents. Now, there's a lot of different types of leverage that we can incorporate into our business. The first is like talent or people, right? Building out a bit of a team, and this could be a mix of agents. This could be salaried employees like a VA, a transaction coordinator, an ISA. We can also do it with code and software, right? So like something like a CRM or any tools, and like a CMA softwares, right? Like that is how we kind of implement more leverage within our business and get back more time. What softwares do you use, Julio?
For my database, I use Keller Williams Command.
Okay,
Um,
got it.
uh, that's for um, my people, like my sphere.
Mhm.
My online database, I use a mix of Agent Locator and Sync. I'm going to transition everything to Agent Locator.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would say Agent Locator primarily.
perfect. Okay, awesome. And what market do you serve?
Toronto.
Toronto. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, so another form of leverage, and one that I am so bullish on, is media, right? So like content, social media, video content, because attention is now the most valuable currency, right? If you look at people like The Rock or Kendall Jenner, right? These guys are like millionaire or 100 millionaires and billionaires, and they did all of that from like their brand and the attention and the eyeballs that they have on them, right? That's why the Rock can launch a tequila and make it a multi, 10 $100 million business, right? Social media and video content, the industry, not just real estate, but like everything is trending towards that direction. So having a media leg in your business is so critical. And when we kind of go into the conversation of like prospecting, shooting video content is the highest leverage form of prospecting that you can incorporate. Another form of leverage is capital, right? So investing money into things like ad spend or marketing materials, right? Like that's how we kind of get in front of more people that we wouldn't if we were doing more like the traditional means of prospecting, right? Again, kind of buying back a lot of our time. And then listings, right? Listings are like our main, like it's such a huge piece of leverage within our business because it's less of a time requirement on our front, right? We can look for ways to double end those deals, and then we can also use that listing to get 2, 3, 4, 5 other listings if we market it correctly, right? So incorporating all of that and building systems around it, that's how we ultimately start building the business that serves us instead of us always having to kind of stay on top of it, right? And we're going to go into like how to implement different tools and different leverage within your business. But what's really important, right, is the importance of understanding your dollar per hour, right? So what is your time actually worth, right? For me, my time's worth $300 an hour, right? That was based on our revenue and our commissions from last year. And you want to use that dollar per hour as the baseline of the way that you make decisions within your business, right? Because there's certain activities that we can do as realtors and as business owners that produce revenue or produce commissions, and then there's certain tasks that we can do that, although are important for the operations of the business, they are a little less valuable in terms of like our the way that we can use that time to produce more revenue, right? So understanding that dollar per hour is really the core in understanding, okay, what do I need to focus my activities on, and then what can I incorporate a system using talent, using software, using media, using my money, or leveraging listings to get back more of my time so I can focus on more activities that are going to bring in more revenue to the business. Okay. So a couple of things that come to mind are like cooking, right? If you are doing like 1-2 deals per month and you're making more than $15 an hour, immediately like cooking should be eliminated from from your like your daily to-do list, right? There's meal prep companies that provide you meals for as cheap as $15 to $18 a meal. And it saves you the hassle of having to drive to the grocery store, have to going to pick out groceries, having to cook, having to clean, and do all that, right? That is like the quickest way that you can buy back 2-3 hours in your week. And with all of that compounded over the course of a year, right, that's essentially 100 hours that you can buy back right off the get-go. Doing administration tasks within your business, right? Cleaning, laundry, stuff like that. So if the cost of these tasks are less than what your dollar per hour amount is, that's where we want to start building some systems using talent, using code and software, using media, using our money, or incorporating listings into our marketing. Okay. Or sorry, into our business. Any questions with that so far, Julio, Jeff, Fernanda? Okay, perfect. So Julio, so right now you have 300 leads a month coming in, right? How many, like realistically, I want to ask you how many calls are you making on a daily basis?
I make probably about 50 calls a day.
50 calls a day? Okay.
Yeah. I make 50 calls a day. I've been doing online leads for probably 3 years.
Hmm.
I convert at 1%
Okay.
of my Google leads. So I buy 100 leads, I'll convert one
Yep.
um, over a 12-month period or
Yeah.
18-month period, right? Not right away. So and typically that's what I've always brought in was 100 leads a month.
Yeah.
So, I end up doing about 10 deals through Google Leads per year,
Okay.
typically. And what I did this year, tail end of last year, was really, 3x that in terms
Okay.
of quantity. But it's, like I was saying earlier, like I need to find a warmer, even if it's a more expensive
Hmm.
lead. I need to find, because that's my thing. I have an office. I come in 3 hours, 4 hours a day. I hammer out my calls. I'm
Yeah.
diligent. I don't miss a day. Like I'll win the race when it comes to like, doing that
Consistency. Yeah.
consistency. But now I'm at a point where like it's just getting like it's getting tough to make such cold outreaches.
Hmm.
And now I'm looking at, okay, so how do I incorporate video with YouTube to, let's say, like that's kind of one thing that's going through the back of my mind right now,
Hmm.
to try to get a warmer lead that maybe I don't need 300, maybe I can get away with 50, but anyways, I think you get where I'm going with it, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've had so many chats with agents about this, of like the warmer leads sentiment, right? But the reality is when you're dealing with online leads, the warmer lead it's a bit of a fallacy because the majority of people coming through, right, they've clicked on an ad, they're ready in a reasonable time frame. And yes, you can get people that are ready to convert like that month. Like I've had it. I'm dealing with a buyer right now that was an online lead that we're doing stuff. But the majority of people that come in online, they're usually minimum 3 months out. But then you have your 6 months, your 12 months.
Yeah, totally.
And
And
yeah,
we've all been like, I've been lucky with like 1 month in, and like I got a $1.5 million buy, let's say. But that's pure luck.
yeah,
But I would still say if I take a look at everything I've done, it's usually 12 months out. So I'm
yeah.
not looking for something 2 months out, but I'm just looking for
Mhm.
an opportunity to have a better conversion. Maybe that's the way I should, look
Yeah.
for it. Like
So
like
I'm
I'm looking
gonna
for, yeah. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, instead of investing in 100 leads at $20 per lead,
Mhm.
is my mind says, okay, maybe I do 50 leads at $50 per lead, as an example. and,
Mhm.
and maybe that way I can convert at 2%. But going back to your value of time, and also it's the worst part of the job is to pick up phone calls and make those
Yeah.
phone calls all day long, right? So
Yeah.
especially when you're being hung up on or whatever it is, so how do I kind of alleviate those things?
Yeah.
um you know yeah.
No, 100%. So the first thing, just at face value here, Julio, is it sounds how many deals are you doing on a monthly basis on average?
Two
Two
per
deals.
month
Okay, perfect. And you
yeah,
have 300
yeah.
leads coming in. Okay, so the sentiment for you, and I'm telling you this because I've made this same mistake. Like we had a period in our business where like things were going really, really well. And the thought process behind it was like, okay, how do we gas it as much as possible with our ad spend and try and get in more leads? But it wasn't like, okay, how do we get the most from the leads that we have coming in, right? So for you, you're making 50 calls per day, which it's good, right? But what we've found, at least in our like with our real estate business and our team, that gets the most like juice from the squeeze is an incorporation of call, text, and email. And then making when that lead is generated, we have what's called the 21 days of pain. Okay. And that means that we are calling them 3 times per day for 21 days. Okay. So now as an agent, right, for us, there just isn't that much time in the day. It's almost impossible, right? Because like if you think about it, so what's three calls times 300 leads, that's 900 times 21, right? like it starts getting way, way out of hand, right? So for you, what I'm very confident that would serve you a lot better is like, okay, why don't we dial down the leads? Let's spend a little less money. And let's start exploring ways on how we can incorporate systems in with our business through talent, through our code, and then through media that is going to get the most from those leads that are coming in, right? And you can still do like you know this, like the average conversion rate on an online lead is 1 to 3%. The 1 to 3, or sorry, the 1% always leans on, and I've seen this, with a lot of different agents, it leans on the like them just making 50 100 calls per day, whereas when they start incorporating YouTube content and getting in front of their audience and other means, and then they have an ISA that is just pounding the phone pounding that lead until they get in touch with them, like that's what's going to make the difference between that 1% and then that 3%. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I was exploring that option as well on ISA, and I know I need to do more on video. My social media is not the best. Um, it's not. So one of the things I was thinking was I was telling you maybe YouTube ads, maybe like I was looking at maybe doing organic YouTube as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm there. I'm in that phase right now where I'm trying to search for what makes the most sense, because this isn't fun. Yeah, I'm not enjoying myself making
Yeah.
these
And
calls,
I
and like
was,
and 50 is probably on the low end. Like I'm looking at my numbers, and like I'm doing about 260 calls every 5 days, 280 calls. But like it's maybe slightly higher. But I mean, it's 3 to 4 hours a day. Like it's not, yeah, it's not fun.
yeah, no, and
Yeah.
like your time, Julio, like especially if you're doing 2 deals per month, like the dialing, although it's important and we still should maintain it in our times where we're a little bit slower, your time is going to serve you a lot better, like producing content or prospecting through another mechanism, and having someone that can essentially triple your dials for you, right?
Yeah. So what would that be? What would the other mechanism? So, but like, I'm just trying to understand,
Yep.
eh, I do Google and Facebook, but I like Google more. So
Yeah.
like I don't want to necessarily, you know, halt the brake, it's pressing the brakes there. So continue that, but then you're saying do more like Instagram, that type of stuff. You know, is that where you're going with it, or
Yeah, I'm going to show you. Okay.
yeah,
So we have something, what we call the core four, okay? And essentially what the core four is if you think of your business like a bar stool, right? If it has one peg and you're solely reliant on like Google or Facebook leads, right? What happens when that leg gets wiped out?
they have nothing left.
Yeah, the bar stool falls
Yeah,
over,
yeah,
right? So now what happens if we have four legs of that bar stool that are keeping that bar stool up and one leg gets wiped out?
yeah. It's not maybe not going to fall, right?
Yeah, it's gonna stay up, right? So what we coach our agents on is incorporating at least one mechanism from each of the core four. Okay. So essentially, right, you have your mechanisms of one-to-one prospecting. So this is your first pillar is your cold outreach. So this is your door knocking, your cold calling, your open houses. And typically with these, you're dealing with a colder to warmer type of prospect. With open houses and door knocking, you can get now business. You have your warm outreach, so this would be like your SOI and your referrals, right? Then you have your paid advertising, which again, this is like your online, Facebook, Google, YouTube ads, your bus bench ads, your billboards, right? And then your content marketing, right? So content marketing is like your video, your social media, emails, text messages. And when you kind of incorporate all of this, right, and do like one from each pillar, like you just start getting bombarded with with different opportunities coming your way, right? Instead of like solely being focused on on like paid advertising or on door knocking, right? And where like why we're so bullish on the content marketing and the video content element of it is because you like especially YouTube content, you're creating a compounding asset, right? Like similar to like if you were to invest in like the S&P 500, it starts compounding over time. And it's out there prospecting for you 24/7. You don't have to do anything. Or we get appointments every single week from all of, from our YouTube content that we produced 6, 12 months ago, right? So that's why we kind of help, it's a longer term play, right? Like we want to also get in now business to keep the business going. And that's where you kind of mix in your cold outreach or warm outreach and your paid advertising. But then you also want to allocate some time every single day on doing some sort of video content on your socials, because that's what's going to be what pulls in your sphere. It's going to start attracting other your new audience, and it starts compounding the more that you produce and you bring in more opportunities. You're really building a brand, right? And your brand acts as your insurance for your slower periods, right? Because it's just going to continue bringing in business. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So of these like four uh, grids here that you have,
Mhm.
you're saying pick one, right? So let's say um, open houses,
Mhm.
referrals, online leads, and then for content marketing,
Yeah.
what are the, I mean, like the reason I'm asking is like emails and text messages, I guess that's to like our database, but like for content marketing, for the video, because I think your point is video
Mhm.
drives the most value.
Yep.
Like what options are there for a video?
Yeah, so that is a great question. We actually did a really good training on this yesterday. So
Okay.
you essentially have like your long form and short form content, and both serve different purposes. Long form, you're essentially you're like the long form's evergreen, so that's like your YouTube content at 5 to 20 minutes, right? You go more in depth. But it's on there and it's forever prospecting for you, right? You have like it's a little bit more work from the sense of you having to be really, really knowledgeable and go in depth on a specific topic. But then on the contrary, with shorts has a wider reach. But since you're dealing with a shortened time frame on the video, so 60 to 90 seconds, your information that you're conveying is a lot more broad, right? So you use the short form content to bring in a new audience to get in more followers, but then you use the YouTube content, right, to get to educate and nurture your dream prospects and go into more depth and provide more value and position yourself as the agent that your future buyers and sellers ultimately want to work with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and then I want to go into like the role of an ISA here, Julia, because I know you're going to get a lot of value from this. For you, what's going to serve you better, kind of going back to my comments on the how do we get the most juice from our squeeze on the leads? It's not going to be like trying different lead mechanisms, right? Because the lead is a lead, especially when you're dealing with online, right? Like where our team gets leads from every single source. You get your hot leads from Facebook, you get your hot leads from YouTube, you get your hot leads from Google, and you get your cold leads from YouTube, Facebook, and Google. What really, really matters is the consistency and the volume of the nurturing and the calls, and like the conversion process on the back end. Okay, so for an inside sales agent, and if I was in your position, at 300 leads a month, you should have an ISA. Like we usually recommend our agents start looking into an ISA when they're doing around 100 leads a month, right? 300 leads, you're not getting the most juice from your squeeze, and you're spending too much money without like getting the most from the leads that you are getting in. Okay. So what is essentially what is an inside sales agent, right? So an inside sales agent, it's essentially like your right hand, right? It's someone that works with you internally, virtually, right? They are the forefront of your business, right? They make the first connections, they qualify and disqualify your leads for you, and pass over any leads that are worth pursuing, right? Because if you think about it this way, right? How much more do you think it would serve your business If you could eliminate the time that you spend doing 50 calls, which is probably what, about an hour or two every month,
I, I I'm
or
tip I'm typically 3 hours a day.
3 hours. Okay, so
Yeah.
immediately, what happens if you could get someone in your business, right, that could take off that 3 hours per day, right, and also triple the amount of dials that you're doing?
Yeah, my fear with that is like, are they going to do it as well? Like, I'm converting at 1%. So like, if someone can convert
Yeah.
at 3%, that would triple my business. I
Mm.
think that is very challenging. Like doing this for a few years, like maybe I don't
Mm.
make 3 calls a day, but I have a system that
Yeah.
I'm aggressively calling.
Yeah.
In that first 21 days for sure.
Mm.
Um, I, yeah, I think my fear is like is like, are they going to do it as good as me? I think
Mm.
that's the fear. And like and I've gone down this rabbit hole too in terms of looking at ISAs and different companies out there, Conversion Monster, and I just get so many bad reviews.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that
Mm.
limits me from. But I mean, I would love it. I would love, like, in the perfect world, like exactly what you're saying, and that's kind of something I've been digging into in the last month or so. Is like, do I get an
Mm.
ISA to do this, and then like I start a YouTube channel, which I don't know how that works yet, but like that's something that I was thinking as well. Is maybe I focus more time on that content,
Yeah.
but I don't want to lose the dials, because like I'm in
Mm.
Toronto, an average price point here is like 1.4 million at
Yeah.
2.5% commission. Like if I get even 6 or 7 deals a year from an ISA like that, that's a multiple six-figure income, right? So I don't want to lose that. It's 50% of my business right now.
100%.
So yeah, so this is all
Yeah.
the stuff I'm thinking about. It's actually amazing that you're touching on all this right now, and I accidentally came on the call, so it's
Yeah.
amazing.
So
Yeah,
we're not done yet.
yeah.
So I used to have the same thinking, right? Because no matter what business you're in, right? Like whether it's consulting, anything, right? That no one will ever be able to sell as good as the team leader or the
Hmm.
owner or the CEO, right? Like they know their product, they know their industry the most, right? Even like when I was in my engineering role, like the interns, they could never do all of the stuff as good as me, right? But that's not the point. The point is again, remember going back to our comment on time. Time is our most valuable asset. And yes, there's always going to be time in training initially, but as the ISA or as the agent gets better, right, you start to peel back more time. And think about this, right? Like what the ISA in this specific scenario, what the ISA like lacks in experience or knowledge in the market, which again, you're going to coach them on anyways, they are going to make up for in sheer volume of dials, right? Because for we have ISAs working with our agents that are doing 150, 200 dials every single day. And when you're doing it at that volume, you get on the phone with a lot more people, you disqualify a lot more people, and then you also connect with a lot more qualified people. So for yourself as the agent, you're focusing on the leads that are somewhat intentful in making a purchasing or listing their market or listing their property on the market, right? Because the key thing for us, and it's really, really tricky in the real estate industry because we're dealing with such a high price point on extended time frame. Like for every 100 leads that we generate, we have to like literally move mountains to try to find the one that's going to actually convert. And usually they're colder too, right? There's no
Hmm.
relationship established, right? So now the question becomes, okay, like how can we have the ISA, even though they might not have as much market knowledge initially, the role of the ISA is actually to disqualify the 99 prospects or the 97 prospects so we can get to the 1 to 3,
Hmm.
right? And that's the mindset shift that I had as well, right? So again, so why is an ISA essential? It's really just the time management, right? Again, your dollar per hour, what's going to increase that dollar per hour is producing content, working with clients, and like getting deals across the line, right? But what it sounds like for you, what you're running into is like, if you think of your business as like a seesaw, right? You're probably, you're prospecting, you're putting in the dials, but like if you start getting busy, the dials may fall off a little bit, right? Or if you're not busy, you're putting in the dials, it's just they're not at the volume, it sounds like, where we need to get those 1 to 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So yeah, and again, kind of going into like our time management, and because of the sheer volume, we're going to get more conversion, right? Like more of a conversion between the volume of dials, the text, the emails. You're going to get a better customer experience, because anytime that an agent or any like a business owner or founder, if they have like someone as working as an assistant or an admin, it sets you up as a higher frame, right? So people find value in that. And then your scalability. Okay. So you're again, if you immediately implement an ISA, you're going to buy back 3 hours of time right away, and you can, on that 3 hours, you can use that to at the very minimum produce one piece of content per day, right? And that is going to move mountains for your business a lot further than you making 50 dials or 100 dials over 3 hours. Okay. So now the question becomes like, does it make sense to hire either local or international? And we've done it both ways. We've coached agents on both ways, right? And they have their pros and cons. So yeah, the average, according to talent.com, the average hourly wage for sales agents in the USA in Canada is, I've seen ISAs in Canada around, $18-20 an hour. In the States, you can go as high as, 26, 27. If you do it like internationally, right? This is where you can get someone for $5 to $7 per hour, right? And again, like this can be renegotiated every couple of months. Some of the drawbacks, right, is the market knowledge opposed to someone that is working a little bit more local, right? So with a local ISA, you're kind of dealing with the cost. But they like whereas like an international ISA, you're dealing with someone that is a lot more cost efficient. There are more like legal and tax implications, right? You have your the English proficiency will be a little bit less with an international ISA. We personally source ours from like Central and South America. That's where we found the English proficiency is the most like the most common. And a lot of the times we've worked with ISAs that have actually been like they've lived in Canada, they've lived in the States, and they just moved back for personal reasons. So their English is spot on. And then yeah, the experience and the skills are equivalent. It's just a lot of the times, they may require a little bit more, like a little bit more training on like the market knowledge. But again, what they lack in market knowledge, you also gain back in the cost effectiveness and in the sheer volume of dials that they're going to be making initially. And then over time, like we recommend at least doing two half-hour calls with your ISA every single day, or sorry, every single week. They get more up to speed with the market knowledge. They get better with the conversions, and then you literally have someone that's automated your whole lead generation on the paid advertising. Okay. So yeah, in terms of sourcing your ISA, like we kind of do when we help our agents recruit ISAs, we recommend like LinkedIn or Upwork or Indeed, right? And we have different like our job postings, the interview questions, and the application that you can use as an example. Julio, I can send this over to you. And then in terms of like the recommended locations, right? Again, you can do it locally. You have Mexico, Colombia, Nicaragua, or where we found the best employees. Okay. In terms of the interview process, we have our interview questions kind of listed out there, right? And then yeah, we recommend that you schedule each interview for 30 minutes. go over like the interview questions, the salary and commissions. For the commissions, we always recommend doing like somewhat of like some commission based on like an appointment set or a conversation set. It just incentivizes the ISA to really keep pushing to make those connections, right? And then for you, if you're doing 300 leads per month, like you should have a full-time ISA. What I would do personally in your situation, I would cut the leads in half. I would bring on the ISA and try to squeeze the most out of those 150 leads. Okay. And then, yeah, in terms of the compensation structure, again, this can be negotiated with yourself and the ISA. Your like the average ISA salary when you're sourcing them from Central and South America, this can be anywhere from $5 to $7 US per hour. And then, yeah, you can do like a 2 to 5 USD per hour per appointment booked. And then, yeah, usually after a couple of months, you can kind of renegotiate with them. What I've had Fernanda do is she's kind of incorporated a lot of like my other lead generation, sourcing, and more like admin stuff, to again buy back more time on my calendar so I can focus on the like the revenue producing activities like prospecting, like creating content, like getting deals across the line, right? And then we recommend payments going bi-weekly or every other Friday. Now, in terms of training your ISA, right? Like we have a training program for our agents, the ISAs, and you'd be more than welcome to utilize that. We have we kind of go into like the roles, responsibilities. You train them on the CRM, like what to say, and we have scripts for all of our agents ISAs on buyers conversions and sellers conversions. And then just best practices on like keeping, the handoff between yourself or between the ISA and the agent, filling out reports, and then like the coaching between yourself and the ISA. And really like the training focus is really for you and the ISA is to give them more in-depth product and market knowledge, kind of go through like the communication and active listening skills. And then, yeah, just really implement an effective lead management and follow-up process with the ISA, which again, we help support with. Any questions so far, Julia? I know I'm going off at a million miles an hour, but yeah, I hope you're getting some value from this so far.
Yeah, totally. No, I mean, one of the things it all makes perfect sense.
Mm,
Like one of the things that one of the other things that I'm kind of struggling with a little bit is like a lot of my conversations through my cold leads that
mhm.
turn into either a listing, or most of the time it's on the buying side.
Yeah.
Um, is like it's just based on the rapport from the beginning, right? So like I'm
Yeah.
a little afraid to lose that. I think, going back
Mhm.
to your point, like at the same time, I shouldn't look at it that way. I should look at it like the ISAs removing the 97 of 100 leads that are no good and
Yeah.
just cleaning things up for me. And then I guess at that point, I take on the rapport a little bit, or I can build the rapport from the people that warrant the time, um, which makes sense. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, this is exactly like what I've been going through over the last couple months. So
Mm.
it's definitely helpful to hear from you as well.
Yeah, and like so I want to ask you this, okay? The biggest teams in the States and Canada, do you think they have ISAs?
I think they've probably built their business to, because even the people that I've converted and I've worked with, like they're not like, they're not cold leads anymore. Now they're my people, right? They've
Mm.
referred me, and so like so I feel like these big teams have been like I've been in the business for 4 years. I
Yeah.
haven't been in the business for 40 years, right? So
Mm.
being in the business for 4 years, like you need to aggressively lead gen. If you want, like I'm ambitious, like I want to hit a
Mm.
certain level of productivity this year. So
Yeah.
if I want to hit that number, like I need to have those 300 leads a month.
Yeah.
in order to deliver that. My bigger picture goal is like, if I can hustle like this for another 5 years, but then after 5 years, it's like I should have enough in the sphere and the referrals to fuel my business. That was kind of my mindset the whole time.
No, 100%. Yeah. Um, but the like kind of backing up here, Julio, 100%. Like you want to have as many leads as possible. Like more leads equals more business. More eyeballs equals more business, right? The more conversations we create, the more attention we get, the more money we make. It's just simple numbers. But the what I see a lot of people, and I've worked with so many agents that have the same reservation, right? It's that they're scared of working with, or like giving up that initial conversation or that initial rapport with in sacrificing like the sheer volume, right? But again, what's the alternative, right? Is it you sitting and dialing for 3-4 hours a day, right? Or is it doing the higher level activities, the ones that are ultimately going to produce more value and more revenue for your business? Because I assure you, every single team leader that has a top producing team, they do not make the dials, right? They have their agents or their ISAs making dials, ours included, right? The new agents, they call cold leads, right? And then other than that, the ISAs call the leads, right? And are you a new agent?
4 years.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
you've been in the business for a little while now. So now the question becomes, okay, like how do we, instead of us just like, we're focused on the one pillar of paid ads, how do we create a system around that? How do we automate that so I can get more time back and take that next step on the things that are ultimately going to drive the needle forward, right? And for you, you've already said it. It's producing content, right? And all like the majority, not all, but the majority of the biggest agents, especially kind of in this day and age, they're all producing content at some sort of
Yeah,
capacity, right?
yeah,
But the challenge, and every agent I've chatted with runs into this. It's the time. It's the time that it takes and can take. And like we're going to be going over in calls subsequent to this on like how to create systems and how to create processes around the content production process. So you're not like, so you can increase the volume of the amount of content that you can produce, but also again, still get back more time on the calendar,
yeah.
right? But
And
for you, Julio, after learning a little bit more about you, it's not like a lead problem, right? Like you're getting tons of leads, and whether you get it from Google, YouTube, Facebook, like a lead's a lead, and especially if it's an online lead, right? The bottleneck is the amount of nurturing and the amount of dials and the amount of like juice you're getting from that squeeze. So you're getting the most opportunities. And 50 dials or 75 dials a day, although it's good, you can immediately, double or even triple that just by bringing in an ISA and then freeing up that time so you can produce content to nurture that database and bring in more people.
yeah, okay. No, it's reassuring hearing you say that. I think the other issue for me is like content itself. Like I'm 40. Like I was never a big Facebook, Instagram guy. Like my face is not everywhere. Like so,
Yes.
like so that's one thing. One of the things, like it's funny. Like I mean, the last 2 weeks I've talked to so many different YouTube companies too, and creating channels and stuff. And I think that's the other thing. It's like, what the heck do I say on camera? It's
Yeah.
like that's another thing that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, because I think it is what it is. It's just like I'm not creative. I don't really have a creative bone in my body. Like I'm diligent and like that. Like that's my
Yeah.
personality type, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's another thing that I think about as well is like, okay, like if I'm gonna do that, then what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the loudest person in the room. I'm the quietest usually. Like I'm introverted in a lot of ways. So like that's the other thing that I have to wrap my head around as well.
Yeah, you know what? And I mean this with full confidence, every single agent I've talked to, right? They have the exact same reservation. It's like, what do I say? I'm nervous. I've never shot on camera before. But if you
Yeah.
think about it like this, okay? No one is born good driving a car, right? You have to spend some time behind the wheel and on the road, and you're going to strike a couple curves, and you're going to hit some speed bumps, right?
Yeah.
But eventually it just becomes second nature,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not afraid to do that. I think it's more like like I talked to a few companies in the last 2 weeks about like, okay, what's the system you have that you do it for me and you just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Like I'm like that's the type of person I am. Tell me what to do, I'll do it. But like for me to be creative, it's like that, like I'd almost like it's not for me, right? So
Yeah.
I'll get on camera. I'm not shy to get on camera. It's more like I'd love to have like this is the roadmap of what I
Yeah.
should be doing every day. Give me the roadmap, I'll run with it. Like that's kind of my philosophy on it as well. So that's something else I'm thinking about. But then like I've talked to some companies that like they do this type of stuff where it's like, we take care of the editing. I don't want to be an editor. Like I have trouble finding my camera on my phone because I never hit it. So I don't want to be an editor. So like these companies were like, hey, we'll do everything from top to bottom, but that's like a $40,000 a year
Yeah.
cost, So that's the other thing I'm like trying to figure out as well.
Julia, I wish you were on the call yesterday, man. No, we
Yeah.
went over this in detail. So here's what we'll do, okay? Fernanda, can you drop the Slack invite in Slack, or sorry, in the chat for Julio to join? And then please share the replay of yesterday's training with him.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, so Julio, so we have like a whole we went into this on the call yesterday, but in terms of the content creation process, we've done it both ways, right? It's good, like the whole content production, like having someone script your content and edit it. We actually used to do that for our agents. And it works to a certain extent. The only challenge is like if you have someone else scripting it out, you're not internalizing the information. And it's really, really hard to convey information that you yourself don't understand, because and then trying to convey it on camera, right? I see it all the time. I see agents, I see YouTube creators that you can tell they're reading off of like a ChatGPT script, right? But whereas on the contrary, if you like what we coach, especially our newer agents that are brand new with content, you want to take some time, and we have a whole list of like the exact pieces of content that you should create, but you should take that time and research each of those topics in depth, right? And then write it out, because and again, it takes time, but you internalize all of it. And then as you start attracting more and more clients, you are more informed on those topics to be able to have those conversations in more depth. And that is what a YouTube video is, right? And I can say wholeheartedly, like even like the deals I'm working on right now, a lot of the conversations I'm having, I got the knowledge from researching the topics in depth. And then because I've done the work and done it in depth, I can convey that information in a way where it educates the prospect, but also gets them more comfortable. And I can position it in a way where it's like, okay, I'm the expert on this topic. And that ultimately builds that trust, right? And if you try to skip that, right, which it can work, it's just like, again, it's like trying to take that shortcut to like that ultimately ends up hurting you in the long run.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I do want to wrap up this this call here, Julio. We did drop an invitation in the chat.
Yeah. I emailed it to myself. I don't know, how do I join that? I just,
Yeah, just click the link. We also have one of our agents here, Sat, on the call, who's a pretty solid at content production. Sat, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, why don't you share your, I guess, your journey in the content creation process, because you've been the one killing it as of late.
Oh, I'm getting a call from Calgary here. Is that you?
No,
No,
it's not me.
they'll have to wait. um, yeah, the content creation was difficult to start for sure. And I'm not an introvert, but that's okay as well. The big issue for me was actual content. And Mason just talked about ChatGPT, and ChatGPT has actually been really helpful for me, but you gotta make it specific to your language, the way you speak, the way you communicate with people, and adapt it to that. But so I use ChatGPT to get ideas. And the big thing that I do when I go into ChatGPT is I tell ChatGPT, you know, as you are telling ChatGPT that you're the real estate professional, tell me the biggest, pain point for a buyer today. And so it'll send out some stuff that's totally useful and some that's not. And I leave out the stuff that's not. But I'm also doing a lot of other content that's just me and not all real estate, because people they want to see you as an individual and a person, and not just the salesy real estate agent. Um, and that's getting your face out there. You've been in the business longer than I have. I'm only starting my third year now, and last year was a complete bust for me. The biggest problem that I'm having is actually I produce content, I can do that, but the biggest problem I'm having is getting back to some of these leads and getting frustrated with all of the garbage leads that I'm getting. If I look at my CRM, I think last time we checked, there was about 10% of them, which are all Meta telling me that my account is being closed. So it's really throwing my KPIs out. But you know what? That comes with the territory. So I call back as many as I can. I'm not a full-time agent. I still have a full-time job. And right now, just the way that work is going, it is super busy. We're going through a massive reorg at work, which is taking a lot of my time. We're changing from hybrid working from home model to back in office model. So I don't get on these calls as much as I'd like to. So I'm juggling my real estate work on after hours, lunch breaks, coffee breaks, weekends. But super easy to get content out, even if it's a 30-second, just hey, what you doing today and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, you look very comfortable on camera right now. You sound good. And I'm worried about getting proper lighting, when I'm on camera on my content, I don't have my headset, but I have a cordless mic. So I think my content is good. I don't know, Mace, like you've seen some of my stuff. I think it's good. My last piece it just hit over 2,000 views. Did I get any leads out of that? Probably not today, but you don't know, right? Your face is out there, and someone's going to remember that and then get back to you. And people have done that, where I've reached out to my circle, my sphere, and they were not in a position, but now that they are in a position, I'm working with 3 of my sphere right now to hopefully land a deal in the next few months. But it's just content and getting your face out there, but it's got to be valuable too, and find out what your niche is, and who you're speaking to, and speak their language. ChatGPT will give you ideas, but you still want to speak you want to speak your language to your people.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, makes sense. Guys, I have to run. I have a listing appointment in 30 minutes.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, but I appreciate this. I mean, I'll check I emailed the link to myself.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm in that program, so I can connect with you after as well.
Sounds good, Julio. Well, appreciate you hopping in here. Yeah, once you join Slack, we'll shoot you the replay from yesterday, because in it has like all the content production best practices, what to shoot, when to shoot it. So that'll be a good starting point for you there as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for hopping in, Sat.
Yeah.
Pleasure as always.
See you guys.
And yeah, have a great rest of your evening or morning. Sorry.
Morning still, yeah.
Okay.